Saddest part of this whole story is the fact that even after everything this footballer did to his wife, he still went free. He didn't spend half the sentence he was supposed to spend in jail. Let me explain. Now meet Bruno Fernandes. He used to be a Brazilian professional footballer who played as a goalkeeper in a club called Flamengo in Brazil, his home country, and he was pretty good at it. He was also happily married and had two beautiful daughters. However, if there is one thing we know about footballers, is that they tend not to be loyal partners. They mess around with a lot of women, and Bruno wasn't any different. Despite being a married man with kids, he was also seeing this beautiful Brazilian actress with an amazing eyes named Elisa, and eventually they began dating. Now in the course of this relationship, Bruno impregnated Eliza, and allegedly he wanted her to remove the baby, but Eliza refused, and instead she gave birth to the baby boy. Due to Eliza's refusal to terminate the baby, Bruno refused to take up his responsibility after the child was born, and this prompted Eliza to sue him for child support and negligence. But around the same time Eliza was suing Bruno, he was about to move to an even bigger football club called AC Milan that would pay him almost triple his current salary. And we all know the bigger the salary, the bigger the amount the court will task him if he is found guilty, and Bruno didn't like that at all. So in order to prevent paying even a penny to Eliza, he decided to terminate her. With the aid of Luisa Marques, Bruno's close friends, George, Bruno's cousin, Bola, an ex-Brazilian policeman, and Vitor da Silva, one of his staffs, they reached out to Eliza and told her to come over to a house and that the financial support she has been seeking for to take care of her child would be given to her. But unknown to her, the whole thing was a trap. As soon as she arrived at the location, they held her captive for days, and eventually they choked her using a belt and sent her to the afterlife. To cover their tracks, they split her body into different pieces and fed it to the dogs. Sooner than later, people close to Eliza noticed she had been missing for some days and no one could reach her. Suspicions quickly turned toward Bruno, and after the investigation by the police, the whole truth was revealed. Luisa Marques were sentenced to 15 years and 2 years in jail respectively. George, Bruno's cousin, received no sentencing because he was a minor, 17 years old. Bola, the former policeman involved, received 22 years, while Da Silva was sentenced to 2 years and 6 months. However, Bruno, the orchestrator of Eliza's journey to the afterlife, only received 22 years and 3 months in prison. But that's not even the crazy part. You see, after Bruno was given this sentence, his lawyer tried to appeal. That is, they wanted a higher court to review the case and possibly reduce his sentence or even overturn the conviction. But the appeal process was taking too long, and around this time, Bruno had already spent 7 years from his 22 years in prison, and in Brazil, that's a violation of a person's constitutional right. So Bruno's lawyer filed a petition against it, and the court ruled in their favor, basically agreeing that his legal rights had been violated, and as a result, he was released. After his release, he tried to return to football by signing with this club called Boa Esports. However, less than a month later, his contract was terminated due to massive backlash from fans and women's football groups. About 2 months later, the court found that the delay in Bruno's legal process were actually caused by his own legal team, not external factors, and because of that, his release was revoked and he was sent back to prison. But this time around, Bruno didn't stay too long in prison because 2 years later, he was granted a partial house arrest, which meant he could leave prison during the day to work or play football, but at night he had to return. However, due to infrastructure problems at the prison, Bruno was allowed to sleep at his own home overnight, effectively making it a full house arrest. This was how Bruno spent only 9 years in jail for a crime as evil as sending his girlfriend Eliza to the afterlife. That's even lesser sentence than Bola, the ex-police officer who assisted him in carrying out the evil act. And as for Eliza's son, it was later revealed that he has been staying with his grandmother, that is Eliza's mother, ever since the incident happened.